Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Layla here, and for today I'm going to be focusing on the rules of Inktober. I get it, you're excited. It's a fresh new start at taking a crack at this year's ever popular art challenge. Day 1 is easy and you get your first drawing done. Day 2, no big deal, second drawing is accomplished. Day 3, well, you had a lot to do, but you were still able to squeeze it in at the end of the day. And then day 4 gets away from you and suddenly you blink and it's day 20 and you have nothing to show for it except the 3 pieces you did the first 3 days of the month. So how did this happen? Well, I probably can't answer that for you, but honestly, this happens to me way too often. And the most likely answer for me is I went into this challenge with no plan and probably no commitment either. So if you're like me, I'll be sharing some rules that I hope will keep you focused and be successful at this year's Inktober. Rule number 1, there are no rules. I feel as artists we get super caught up on the idea of rigid rules that need to be followed in order to accomplish a task, and that's not always true, especially with this event. I feel once rules are set up, we tend to cage ourselves in and get frustrated because we have to stick to the rules. And I've just seen artists tackle Inktober tons of different ways, so now that we got through the rules of Inktober, let's get to some talking points that would probably be way more helpful than the rules. 1, you don't have to follow the official prompt list made by Jake Parker. I don't say this to discredit his effort or to be negative towards him in any way. I simply say this because everyone is different. When I peeked at the word list for this year, there were several words that I felt a little unenthusiastic with, and that's okay. The cool thing is, so many artists on Instagram and Tumblr and wherever else you may find artists posting art have sometimes made their own list. And sometimes it's just fun to get involved with someone else's prompt list. 2, stop stressing about having to draw a piece daily. First, take a deep breath and relax. This is supposed to be fun, not stressful, and if you're already wondering how you're going to make time for the event before it's even started, chances are you know you're a busy person, so make it fit for you. Do one every other day. Combine 2 or 3 or 4 words into one piece to cover more days without having to commit to every single day. 3, it's not just about the inks, y'all. I get it. It's Inktober. But honestly, even Jake Parker has said that it's not just about that. Of course, that's the focus of it, but over time it's kind of evolved. Digital artists participate and do digital pieces. Some artists do watercolors, others do markers, or whatever else medium that's comfortable for them. Point is to get better and focus on drawing something consistently for a month. 4, add colors if you want. But this is a bit of a toss-up when it comes to either being helpful or not being helpful. So basically, I'll be using alcohol markers this year. Clearly not to this extent that I'm showing here in this piece. Fun fact, this piece actually took 6.5 hours to do, from initial pre-planning sketch to final piece. I ain't got time to be doing full pieces like this for Inktober. That said, there will be color because I love color. Inking is great, but color makes me happy, it inspires me, and that helps me to complete pieces. But try not to get too carried away with using too many colors. The point is to somewhat keep it simple so you don't feel overwhelmed daily. 5, don't get overly complicated. Reasons why I failed before are so deeply rooted in the fact that I always felt I had to overdo it and make a huge piece with tons of detail. And I'd feel super accomplished at the end of the day, but the desire to do it again the next day would wane. And day after day, it just became time consuming, and I felt I had to achieve this certain wow factor daily from my audience. Which brings me to number 6. Don't feel pressured by your audience or anyone else who wants to tell you what you should draw. Oftentimes I'd get a lot of comments of, you should do this for day 5, followed by a lot of hearts and likes, and there's that pressure to please. And nowadays, I don't know, I've just kind of gotten over that and I just simply draw for myself. But don't feel like you have to please others or draw what they want you to. I'm huge about drawing what you want because it will help you in the end to stay committed, because you'll be happier looking forward to drawing things that you actually want to draw. 7. Following in the same vein of not getting overly complicated, simplify your pieces by creating a base idea. So what do I mean by a base idea? It's pretty much like how you have a foundation and then you build it up and then you move on to the next and you use that same sort of foundation, but when you build it up, the building is different than the first. For example, I might be tackling the prompt list by taking each word and creating witchy characters the first week. And witchy characters, that idea becomes my base. So I know that I will be following that idea for each piece. I'm making witch characters. And then the next week, I'll probably try making vampire characters based on the words and so on. So a lot of scene creating is kind of just thrown out, and I can focus more on just creating a character based on each word. And the fun part is I love creating characters, so I play this challenge to my strengths, which is what I want to talk about for the next talking point. 8. You're in control. And if you're in control, play to your strengths. If you like designing characters, design characters for each word. If you like designing landscapes, design landscapes for each word. If calligraphy is your thing, then girl, do calligraphy. 9. If you're challenging yourself to do something different, don't go too crazy. If you're really wanting to practice something you've never done before with this challenge, that's totally fine. But if you're a character designer and you have never done a landscape in your life and you figure now's the time to start making landscapes, you might find yourself just a little bit overwhelmed, which is a really fast way to giving up. Start small. Make a character and add a simplistic background instead. Try a different way of doing backgrounds. Clearly, this is just me speaking from my own experience. I'm terrible when it comes to backgrounds sometimes, but I know if I commit to drawing them for 31 days straight, I'm either going to learn a lot, not likely, sorry, or I'm going to stop after day 2 because I'm overwhelmed, which is most likely what will happen. So yeah, can't confirm though, I'd most likely stop. At the same time, with this topic, it all depends on how well you know yourself, and if committing to something like that is something you know you can handle, then go for it. 10. Truthfully, I don't really have a 10th talking point. Just words of encouragement. If you're doing Inktober, be kind to yourself. If you fall behind, keep going. Don't beat yourself up. You've got this. And just know that in the words of Bob Ross, talent is a pursued interest. Anything that you're willing to practice, you can do. And I feel that's what the core of Inktober is about. It's about practice and consistently working every day and seeing yourself change in those 31 days. Often people think artists of any kind are just born with this innate ability to do artistic things. And while I do feel there are some outliers that I suppose do have a magical ability when it comes to artistic things from a very young age, oftentimes that's not the case for most artists. It takes work and practice and time and dedication to get better, and that's what these challenges offer when we stick to them. And so that's that. Those are just basically my thoughts on this, and I plan to tackle Inktober this year through using this sort of mindset. The other cool thing is Hoo and I will be collaborating on this year's Inktober, so that will be pretty exciting. And with this piece I did here, I really wanted to draw a representation of myself painting on a canvas for Inktober, but it ended up turning more witchy and looking nothing like me, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. And I had a ton of fun working with light and shadow and basically becoming like an interior designer as I tried to figure out quirky little things to fill her studio with. And I absolutely love what she's painting. The whole piece itself feels nice and calming and relaxed, and here she is just kind of like splashing ink onto her canvas of like this weird smiley face, and it's just dripping black ink and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was funny, and I love how intricate it came out. And there are a few things about the perspective that bothers me, but overall this has definitely been one of my more ambitious pieces when it comes to using markers. But in the end, I like it. So if you enjoyed this video, maybe comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks guys. Bye.